actor, you clearly like a bit of a challenge. You can't exactly say you're typecast in this role.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I asked when I was invited in to meet Peter and audition, and I spent a week beforehand thinking, how do I make myself look smaller? Do I kind of crouch a bit? And I figured he would do that work for me. Yeah. But that was one of the attractions of taking the job, was the complete transformation that would happen. Boy, did I regret that by the end.
I was going to say, I mean, I did wonder whether you had a bit of a penchant for makeup and leather, having done Guy of Gisborne, but maybe you just weren't prepared for the amount that you were going to have to go through.
Not the amount of glue, certainly. The place full of glue every day was, yeah.
Can you take us through a bit of what actually had to be done every morning to you?
Yeah, I mean, if you start the working day at 8 o'clock, you start in the chair at probably about 4:30, and they put like a cowl on your head, so they have to kind of scrape all your hair back, and then they glue all over your face, and then a forehead and a nose, and they sort of stretch it, and then kind of blend all the edges, airbrush it. That takes about an hour and a half, and then you go get your wig on. That's another 45 minutes, and costume half an hour. So, yeah, long process.
And so what time in the morning would you be starting then?
I usually roll out of bed at about 27 minutes past 4.
And that's for 300 days of filming?
I think I did about 278 days of filming. So there are 278 discarded foreign faces somewhere.
That's a really creepy thought.
Yeah.
And Luke, I'm sure you were really relieved that you didn't have to go through this.
You would be the only people that doesn't have any.
I have no prosthetics. I'm the only person, I think. Yeah.
Did you grow your own mutton chops then?
No. I have the most pathetic stubble in the world. So I could grow this for a year and still not have a beard. No, so I had to have fake sideburns and a wig. But apart from that, I used to come in and Richard used to be already in the chair, and Aidan would be in the other chair, Dean and Jed and a lot. I'd come in and I'd have my wig and my sideburns put on, and then I'd leave and they'd still be in there. Yeah. They hate my work.
Luke again, in the book, I mean, you've got basically, it's a walk on, shoot the dragon, walk off, roll. How do you make a character out of that?
Good question. Well, there's a lot of things we've drawn upon that are not really focused that much on in the book, all of which are all Tolkien's ideas. We decided to, target Bard's family for a start. So Bard has 3 children in the film: Sigrid, Tilda, and Bane. Who Bane is obviously from the book. And he's a widow, and he lives in Lake Town, and that's all the stuff we know. And then we talk about his backstory, which is all true. It's his ancestors, one of them, he was a direct descendant of Girion, who was Lord of Dale, who was the only other human to have a go at the dragon. And he didn't kill him, but he dislodged a scale. And it was such a long time ago, it's become almost folklore. And so when you meet Bard, he cuts quite a tragic figure, really. He's not even a bowman when you meet him. He's a bargeman. He sails in empty barrels. That's his job.
Although the first time you see him,
he does have a bow. Yeah, I mean, he's always got his bow at near. He just never really uses it. That's the thing. But as we all know, he will get to use it at some point in the story.
And you get to play Girion as well.
I do get to.
Yes.
Yes.
We've seen that on YouTube.
That's right. It took a while before people actually worked that one out. I think there was a tiny flash of him in a trailer or something, and the fans just picked it up on Twitter, and I was amazed that somebody picked it up. And sure enough, now it's out. Yeah, no, I played 2 people in the film. Yeah.
You did get some prosthetics in the end.
I did, and do you know what? For one day, I experienced what you dealt with 270. And I'm glad it was just one day. Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
But Richard, a difficult character to play for him, I think, because Tolkien makes him very irascible, very driven, not entirely likeable.
That's easy for me to play. Difficult to like, I think, is possibly from an audience point of view.
but I think you've actually managed to, you can't really say humanise their dwarves, but
Dwarf
you have
organised.
you've humanised.
It's been really interesting kind of talking about the character over the past couple of weeks, because every journalist that's sat in front of me has had a different interpretation of Thorin, and some people have said he's warm and he's opening up in this movie, and other people sit down and go, he's such a jerk, and then you think, no, how can they be so many extremes? And I really like the fact that everyone's seeing something different about him, and something that's relatable to, and actually something that's a little bit alienating. And I think that was Tolkien's intention, is to have someone at the centre of this story that is a bit grumpy and that you don't always agree with. And I didn't always agree with Thorin's decisions, but I sort of had to get my head into a place where I could serve the character despite my own reservations about what he believed in.
So how do you do that? How do you draw on it?
Well, I would, I defend him, and I mean, the most difficult side of it was his prejudice in the first movie, his prejudice towards Bilbo Baggins. He's very anti-Hobbit. But I knew that by the middle of the second film, which isn't necessarily in the book, but it was something that I negotiated with Peter, that he would begin to question himself and open up to Bilbo as Bilbo became more of an asset and starts rescuing them from spiders and prisons, and he finds the door, and they get into the mountain primarily because of Bilbo, that it changes Thorin, and he starts to look at the reasons why he's been so judgmental.
And also the opening scene where we actually see you meet Gandalf for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I was so thrilled that they decided to use that as a bookend, so that one would understand when you get to the mountain and Bilbo goes in after the Arkenstone, you'd understand why it was so important. And then, of course, from Gandalf's perspective, everything that he's talking about in that scene, come movie 3, it makes total sense when all the 5 armies arrive on the battlefield. You'll remember what he said in the
Yes, it's a good piece of setup, but what I really like about it is it gives you a certain vulnerability, which we don't necessarily see.
Yes, and that vulnerability is to do with the failure of his father and the madness of his grandfather, which he sort of carries with him everywhere.
Yes. But it's a fantastic movie. I was lucky enough to see it on Tuesday. It was a real treat to watch.
Of course, I forget this. I haven't seen it yet, so yeah, there's a scene. There's a dragon.
There's a dragon.
A lot of your previous experiences on stage, very difficult doing green screen, I would imagine, if that's your primary experience of acting.
Yeah,
How did you
well,
find it?
it was at the beginning, yeah, my first couple of films that required some green screen moments, but no, it's just, I mean, you just do it, it's part if you do big movies like this, it's required, even on small things nowadays, small low budget independent movies often have moments of green screen. It's sometimes cheaper than taking you up a mountain, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And in this film, there was moments of complete